But that brings us to the future, and I'll read the quote that Brady gave Bryson on the Break 50 podcast that he does on his YouTube channel. He said, "Being a broadcaster has been amazing, but also knowing beyond that, I get to be involved in the sport I love for the rest of my life and try to impact the game in a positive way and call out what I like, what I don't like." He was speaking about his Raiders ownership and the impact that he can have on that organization in a more hands-on way since that that purchase of the stake was approved in October. He wasn't quite using the past tense there, but he was almost using the past tense. This dude is not quite 50. He just started a 10-year deal, and he's already kind of it's almost like when your grandparents start talking about retirement and where they're going to move. You know what I mean? Like it'll be really good to be around the beach a little more, and you guys should come out and see it. It definitely had that kind of vibe to it. So Ben, we've done this periodically throughout the season. Are you still one and done with Mr. Brady here?
Yeah, and that quote I think is probably helps, exemplify why. And you said he's kind of talking about broadcasting in the past tense. It sounds like he's talking about ownership like in the future tense, but he's actively an owner, right? Like he is already the part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that's the other part of this that I don't know if it just rubbed people the wrong way or if there's something to the idea that these restrictions are really prohibitive from allowing him to fully do his job as a broadcaster. But everybody like with experience doing broadcasting and Tiki Barber talked about it with regard to the Daniel Jones comments says that this is not sustainable. Like that you cannot have one hand in the ownership drawer and in one hand in the broadcasting drawer, like that you have to pick one or the other. And so I think that the fact that he does speak about, ownership so glowingly shows you which one he prefers. And when push inevitably comes to shove, he's going to choose ownership every time. And so I just think I feel I was throwing out one year, like just as like one of my like hot takes when we started this podcast that Tom Brady would be one and done in the broadcast booth. I feel like strongly about it now. I would be really stunned if he's back at Fox next year.
Sean.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite ready to commit to one and done, but I do think I would put solid money that there's absolutely no way he makes it 10 years. No way. It reminds me of a video essay I saw. I think it was Patrick Willems about why we don't have movie stars anymore. And he was kind of showcasing Ryan Reynolds and The Rock and how their careers are much more about creating themselves as brands and how those brands extend to different arenas rather than it being about how do I become an A-list movie star and build a movie career. It's like beyond that. And that's what I think about when I think about Tom Brady is he until he signed that deal to become a broadcaster, I don't think anyone was under the assumption that he had any dreams of becoming a broadcaster. I think that was very much just a circumstance of opportunity. And I think it's just an extension of him building his brand. Like he's done with his playing career and now he has to kind of reestablish himself in the world. And being a broadcaster gives him an opportunity to keep his face in front of people and, be top of mind. And we're talking about him on a podcast. And, but I don't think being a broadcaster is what he wants to do for the next 10, 20 years of his life. To your points, he's an owner now. He's got his own businesses. There's a million things he's involved with. And so I can't imagine he's a broadcaster longer than 3 years, I would say.
There's also there's conflicting reports about how involved he's going to be as a Raiders owner. Like I think Mike Florio has kind of downplayed it, but other people have said like, hey, Tom Brady's going to be really hands-on. And if it does get to the point where he's really hands-on, I think, and it becomes apparent he's really hands-on, I think that's like the true point of no return because you saw it even with the Daniel Jones stuff. People are talking about that through the prism of him being an owner. Like, is he saying this to keep the players down? Is he saying this because he's pissed about it? I think once it becomes clear, like he is the Raiders co-owner and that's a big part of who Tom Brady is, I think at that point, he can't be a broadcaster anymore.
I mean, if these owners and executives are getting freaking, trade calls from the guy and then he's going on the next week and analyze, it's like they're they're going to start chirping more than they already are. I think right now it's wait and see, and it kind of happened mid-season and everything else, but we'll have a whole offseason of these guys. If he's like in Indianapolis for the draft, if he's at the Senior Bowl, like, I mean, it's going to become pretty rough. And the point you make about acting, I think, is a good one. There was actually the Pitchfork review, Sean, of the new Kendrick Lamar album made a similar point, and it got a lot of attention of like, this guy started his own production company. It has a big partnership with like Cash App and Amazon and all this crap. And like, was this just kind of something to like build the brand of Kendrick Lamar and whatever, more so than like a real art piece? I think there's a lot of people like that. It kind of makes me wonder about Dwayne Wade, honestly. What will he be if he does get one of these jobs? But that will be a conversation for a different day. I'm with Ben. I think it's one and done. I think that it has outlived its usefulness. I think being the guy to get a 10-year, $375 million contract was a hell of a way to build a brand. And even the headlines of that, he doesn't even really need that money probably. He can just kind of cruise and just let that sticker be stuck onto him more so than actually watch the paychecks coming in.